The Caped Crusader, the Dark Knight, the world's greatest detective, the Batman has gone by many names over his 80-year history in comics, television shows, video games, and yes, of course, the movies. The silver screen has been kind to the Batman as he has been brought to life numerous times over the years and has been portrayed by a very impressive list of actors. Since his theatrical debut in 1966, the Caped Crusader himself has been portrayed by 7 actors in live action, and each actor and film has brought to life their own unique twists and interpretation of what that character means to them, and their definitions of what Batman is. But what exactly differentiates a mediocre interpretation from an exemplary one? How is it that an interpretation like Adam West's Batman be the polar opposite of Christian Bale's, but both be totally iconic and beloved in their own specific way? Well, to find this out, and now that the Batman has hit theaters all across America this weekend, I thought we would take a look back at who brought these beloved characters to life in live action specifically. Sorry, Kevin Conroy. And in doing so, we can determine once and for all who is the best Batman of all time. Batman is one of the most popular and recognizable characters in pop culture, and as such, everyone is going to have their own definition of who their favorite Batman is. I know I certainly do, but when I wanted to make this video, I didn't want to approach this as just ranking who my personal favorites were. And if we're being honest, I could probably tell you as much in a tweet, but dedicating an entire video to it, just didn't sound very interesting. And instead, I really wanted to take a different approach to this video, and I wanted to know if there was a way that I could determine who the best live action Batman is as objectively as humanly possible. But realistically, how could you possibly do that when, as I said, there are so many wildly different interpretations of this character with vastly different tones, costumes, and translations of this character to the big screen? Well, to hopefully circumvent any sort of personal biases I may have, I tried to look towards the comics, TV shows, movies, video games, and also just the kind of cultural zeitgeist knowledge that has surrounded this character for decades, and try to determine what were Batman's most defining traits. Now, obviously, the character of the Batman is going to mean different things to different people. To some, Batman is known for his martial arts skills, for example. And although yes, it is undeniable that Batman is a great fighter, I wanted to look at something that would be more universal. Yeah, Adam West Batman beats up a lot of bad guys, but obviously in a much different way than Ben Affleck does. And looking at all of the different Batmans, I decided to look at this character in regards to 5 different categories, and 5 categories only, and block everything else out. It doesn't matter the quality of the movie that they are in, really any other supporting characters, the only thing that matters are how these traits are brought to life. Although yes, the Rogues Gallery is such a big part of Batman's legacy as a hero, at the end of the day, they aren't Batman. So for the purposes of this video, it doesn't matter. And to be frank, you could honestly do an entirely separate video of the same format just looking at who the best Joker is alone. And from these categories, I graded each film and each portrayal of the character on a scale of 1 to 10 regarding the given attribute. I added up all the numbers together, which gave me a score out of 50, 50 out of 50 being a perfect score. I added up all the points that they got, and if they had sequels, I averaged those together, all to determine who is the best Batman brought to life in live action. And I think the results are actually really gonna surprise you. Now, a bit of housekeeping before we truly dive in, but for Ben Affleck specifically, I wanted you guys to know that I did watch Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, as well as Zack Snyder's Justice League. I did not watch Joss Whedon's Justice League, nor did I include Suicide Squad. Yes, Batman is in that movie, but if we're being honest, he has far too small of a cameo in that film, and I just knew because of the other categories I graded these movies on, the only thing that was going to do is lower his score. Because honestly, he doesn't have that much of an opportunity to shine, so it really didn't feel truly fair. And speaking of which, that brings me to our number 1 category, which was gadgets and vehicles. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but with this category, what I was really looking for was a clear attempt to show a variety of gadgets. Do we have batarangs, smoke bombs, a grapple gun of some sort? Ice skates? Sure, why not? But Batman would not be Batman without his Batmobile, so not only do we have to have that, but it has to look good, and more importantly, does it look comic booky? Thankfully, there are so many different interpretations of Batman with some wildly different variations on what is the Batmobile, so there is a lot of leeway there, but I really wanted to see if they look like they fit for Batman. There has got to be some sort of bat-themed flair going on here. It needs to look like it is made for Batman specifically. The second category I chose was the costume. Batman has one of the most iconic costumes of all time, which is funny considering how different his costume has looked over the years. But what I was looking for was not just a semblance of comic book accuracy, but is it semi-practical? Does it photograph well? Does it look good in the movie? And yes, I will say this category in particular is probably the most subjective out of the 5 because what looks good is going to be different for different people, but as I tried to do with this entire video, I really did strive to be as objective as I possibly could and offer what I thought is the best looking Batman brought to life in live action. Category 3 should come to the surprise of no one, but a key attribute for the world's greatest detective is he has to be shown doing some detective work. Batman is a famously brilliant detective, and I wanted to see if each film portrays that. Is he resourceful? Does he find creative ways to stop these villains? And does he go about that maybe doing some sleuthing? Is he looking at old newspaper reels? Does he actually have a magnifying glass? All of these are important questions that must be answered. Category number 4 is a seemingly obvious one, but it does require a bit of explanation. But I also wanted to look at how each film portrayed its Bruce Wayne. Yes, I'm aware it's a bit of a cliche, but the role of Bruce Wayne is as much of a mask as is the Batman persona. And does each film portray that? The movie also needs to explore the importance of Bruce Wayne, not only as a secret identity to protect loved ones, but also as a philanthropist who plays a crucial role in the development and funding of projects in Gotham City. Yes, the role of Batman is an important one, but so is the man under the mask, and it is crucial that the film explores the role of Bruce Wayne and how he plays within that. And last but certainly not least, one of, if not the biggest defining trait of Batman that is absolutely crucial is Batman a hero? Through all of these movies, I do not care how dark or how silly it can be, Batman needs to be shown as a hero and shown saving people. There is a moral code to Batman, and does he break that code intentionally or otherwise? But some of these films also examine what it means to be a hero and the cost of this lifestyle. Does the film explore that, or what the symbol of Batman means to Gotham City? Among the gadgets, the cars, and the cool costume, it's easy to forget that Batman is a hero first and foremost, and that is what really has made this character withstand for over 80 years. What does Batman actually mean to us as fans and the people of Gotham City? So for category number 1, gadgets and vehicles, this was actually, out of all 5 of these categories across the board, this is what each movie ranked highest on. Sure, some of those are in no doubt because of merchandising and toys, but still, very impressive nonetheless. So with a perfect 10 out of 10 score, a full 1.5 points ahead of its runner-up, the Batman who is shown to do the best in the category of gadgets and vehicles goes to Michael Keaton. Both in Batman and Batman Returns, this Batman has not only a ton of variety in gadgets, but also has some truly comic book inspired vehicles. Not only do you have his instantly recognizable and iconic Batmobile, but you also have the Batwing, and less discussed, but still excellent Batboat from Batman Returns. Keaton passed through this category with flying colors, and I genuinely wish future Batman movies would take note, because this This is how you make a Batman with great but also not too serious gadgets and vehicles. For category 2 of costuming, this was a very close race, with the winner only edging out by 0.5 points. But the winner of this round, and one that I was kind of secretly hoping would win, was Ben Affleck with 8.5 out of 10 points. Affleck scored a perfect 10 out of 10 for Batman v Superman, with not only a completely killer batsuit, but an equally as great armored suit and the suit from the Nightmare sequence, all of which are absolutely pitch perfect. And the regular Batsuit, I might add, from that movie is my favorite live action Batsuit, hands down. Where Affleck lost a few points with me was with Zack Snyder's Justice League, because the suit is mostly the same, which is a bit disappointing, aside from some energy absorbing wrist gauntlets that he acquires in the film. And although I like, not love, the tactical suit, I am not a fan of those goggles. If we're being honest, they kind of fit his head pretty weirdly, and he looks less likely to go fight some parademons, as he looks like he's about to go put in a few rounds of racquetball at the YMCA. Just really not for me. For category 3 and the detective side of Batman, I mean, come on, was there any doubt? Did you guys see the Batman? If you did, this one should not be much of a surprise at all. The clear winner of this category is hands down Robert Pattinson's Batman with a perfect 10 out of 10 score, and it really was not even close. The runner-up for this category was a three-way tie with 7 points between Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, and Adam West, surprisingly. But clearly in making this movie, Matt Reeves and company wanted to focus on this aspect of the character specifically by telling this detective noir influenced story. Surprisingly though, out of all of the categories that I graded these portrayals on, across the board, the detective category was the lowest scoring one, averaging at just 6.2 out of 10 points. So good work, Matt Reeves, because without this movie, the score probably would have been a lot lower. All right, moving on to category 4, Bruce Wayne. This one was a pretty close race, with a point differential of just 1 between the winner and the runner-up. But the best live-action portrayal of Bruce Wayne goes to Christian Bale. In rewatching these movies, especially so with Batman Begins, these films, the Nolan trilogy, really are as much about Bruce Wayne as they are about Batman, if not more. Not only do these films portray the billionaire playboy side of Wayne, but also the pain that he feels and the duty he's called to as a result of the death of his parents. One complaint I do have, though, that does get progressively worse as the trilogy goes along, is Christian Bale's performance and how he chooses to differentiate his performance as Batman and his performance as Bruce Wayne. And it's predominantly by the use of his infamous Batman voice, which isn't that bad in Batman Begins, but around The Dark Knight Rises, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Where's the trigger? Where is it? You never give it to an ordinary citizen. Where is it? Where's the trigger? Where is it?
And for category 5, we of course have the idea of Batman being shown as a hero. I knew this was going to be a lower scoring category because a lot of the Batman that we see in these films, they kill a lot of people in these movies, just straight up sometimes. But thankfully, there are also plenty of examples in these movies of Batman being that hero and showing Gotham what it means to just not be a symbol of fear, but hope too. So in first place, with a point differential of just 0.6 points between it and its runner-up, the leader and the winner of this category is Robert Pattinson in The Batman. This was such a surprise watching this movie and seeing the journey that this character goes on from being the symbol of fear that we see portrayed at the beginning of the movie to being one of hope and inspiration for others at the end. Essentially, the people that should be afraid of Batman are by the end of that movie, but for everyone else, they see the symbol and the power of that symbol and what it can mean for their city, one of hope. We see this really clearly explored when contrasting the mugging victim from the beginning of the film, who is fearful of Batman, to the little boy at the end of the movie who sees Batman as who he really is, a hero. Genuinely, this film's portrayal of this idea is so good and such a surprise. Also, hey, as far as I could tell, this version of Batman doesn't kill anybody, which is great. Now finally, with over 27 hours of movies watched and lots of careful thought and as unbiased consideration as I could possibly muster, I have crunched the numbers to determine the best on-screen live-action adaptation of Batman, and with a grand total of 44 out of a total 50 points, my number one best Batman is Robert Pattinson in The Batman. Pound for pound, I think it's pretty clear to see that Pattinson is the best portrayal of this character that has been offered thus far. In each category, Pattinson did really well. He has a variety of gadgets, maybe not as many as some of his peers, yes, but he has a great car, one that is very 70s and reminded me a lot of Neil Adams' Batmobile. His suit is so great and looks battered and beaten, but still manages to have that iconic and very unique silhouette that is specific to this character, which this movie does take a lot of advantage of. And yes, obviously you have the detective angle and the heroic angle as previously mentioned, but the film also offers a very unique take on Bruce Wayne. This movie completely surprised me in how it analyzes the influence of wealthy men and how they use their power and privilege. There's a great conversation between Bruce and Alfred in the hospital about who exactly killed Bruce's parents, to which Alfred says he cannot know for sure. Sure, yeah, it could be the person that he suspects it to be, or it could be any petty thief with an itchy trigger finger. I mean, come on, how perfectly does that capture the pain of Bruce Wayne, knowing that's why he puts on the mask, because any one of those thugs out there that he beats to a pulp at night, that could be the one that killed his parents, and that could be the root cause of his pain. But not only that, but be the cause of so many others' pain, which is precisely why he connects with that young boy. They have that connection there of pain and knowing the power of losing your loved ones. Genuinely, it's some of the best stuff we've ever seen in a Batman movie, and although we don't see a ton of variety from Bruce and the Batman, which is, yes, why he doesn't have a perfect 10 out of 10 in that category, I think given the events that we see transpire in this movie, we will eventually see that persona of the rich playboy develop. And hey, also, the Batman voice that Pattinson uses isn't that bad either, which, as we've seen, isn't exactly easy. Isn't that right, Christian Bale?
I think you and I are destined to do this forever.
You'll be in a better jail forever.
Guys, honestly, I had so much fun doing this video. Genuinely, I think this has made me find some new appreciation for some of these movies that I liked a little bit less, but then there are others that I love and I've seen dozens and dozens of times that has made me look at them in kind of a new light. But hey, if you guys want to see the breakdown of all of the data that I acquired for this and all of the points, including my own notes and an explanation as to why I gave each character their respective score, you can click the link in the description and that will take you to a Google Sheet where you can see all of the data I collected in depth and in detail. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really did have a blast making this. Please comment below and let me know if you want me to take this same idea but apply it to another character or a series or a genre. I do have a few ideas of my own, but I would love to know what you guys think. But who do you guys think should have won? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you liked today's video, and if you did, you can click on the link down below where you can subscribe to my channel to see more movie reviews and movie related things. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.